Hello and welcome. Before everyone starts to, let's say, join this webinar, let me do a quick introduction. My name is Petr Nemeth. I am the CEO of Dataddo. And today's webinar, I will be mostly presenting you the information about how the particular integration with the Google BigQuery works within the context of the Dataddo platform. Of course, feel free to send any questions during this webinar. There will be, of course, room for answering them at the end of my demo, my presentation. And of course, the video and the recording of this webinar will be available to you. So in case you have missed that, or in case you want to perhaps send it to somebody else who might be interested into this topic as well, you will be provided with the full record of the video. And of course, last but not least, I would like to warmly welcome you to the next webinar that will be held in roughly 2 weeks, more precisely Wednesday, August the 14th. And the topic will be reverse ETL and how basically the features for data activation can be used within the Dataddo platform. Okay, so let's jump in and start the actual talk about Dataddo, about BigQuery, and how basically those two platforms can work very seamlessly together. So let me actually share my screen, and I believe at the moment you should be seeing my screen. And I believe that you should be seeing the Dataddo platform itself. So for those who are not familiar with what we are doing, Dataddo essentially is a data integration platform where we have the capability of providing the no-code data integration, allowing you to basically choose sources. Whether it's whether it's various business applications like Salesforce, through marketing applications, social networks, financial tools, as well as many others. I believe currently we support actually more than 200 connectors, and we basically provide you with the capability of setting up no-code data integration towards various destinations. So typically, of course, today the topic is a BigQuery. So primarily, we provide a connection towards the data warehouses. So besides BigQuery, we are also heavy supporters of Snowflake, Redshift, but as well as other technologies. So if you are users of the on-prem databases like MySQL, Postgres, or SQL Server, this is very well supported as well. And also, we support data lake technologies. So in case you want to send your data to things like Amazon S3, Google Blob Storage, this is supported too. And for the sake of, let's say, quick prototyping or just doing a quick data integration or explorations, we also, unlike many other tools or ETL tools, support the direct integration with the visualization tools. So let's say with the Dataddo itself, if you want to just to quickly explore the data from the various platform, you can use a direct connection towards the dashboarding app without the need of provisioning data warehouse at the first place. So when it comes to our platform itself, let's say the whole concept is fairly simple. We basically have 3 main components. One is called sources. By sources, you can pretty much imagine anything from which you can actually connect and extract the data. So as I mentioned at the beginning, roughly we today support more than 200 connectors. And then there is, of course, destinations. As a destination, of course, there is a BigQuery, but many other data storages. And of course, last, there is a concept of the flows. And flows is essentially a loose association between the source and the flow, and the destination. So in Dataddo, we actually decoupled the actual extraction process and the actual writing process, which gives you the quite flexibility of basically saying that you want one particular source, whether it's your Salesforce account or whether it's your Google Analytics account. And if you want it to be sent to a different destinations, this is perfectly possible because the extraction and the writing process itself is actually decoupled. So if I will start with the let's say setup of the source itself, as you can see here, I have also done a plenty of sources so far. So the process of setting up a source is fairly simple. You basically choose one of the connector. So here at the first place, of course, is a Google Analytics. So the process itself starts very simple, and this is fairly specific to each of the connector. So to each of the connector, we provide a dedicated interface. The full interface is completely no code, so you don't need to write any sorts of heavy transformations or any sorts of, let's say, heavy formulas or API calls itself to actually set up the integrations. So if I just simply follow the wizard, as you can see here, this is again specific for the Google Analytics, but this allows me to basically choose and completely parameterize the particular source. The very nice feature that we have is also the capability of actually testing the data. So during the process of let's say setting up the source or setting up the connector, you can always do a data exploration to actually see what is happening under the hood, and whether the data that you are actually picking are the ones that you would like to see in your source. And of course, I need to rename my source, so I can call it Google Analytics Webinar. And by simply clicking on the next, I can completely follow the wizard and basically save the source. So after clicking on save, as you can see, the source was already created. It has been listed here. The important part is here when I was talking about the decoupling the process of the actual extraction and the writing. You can see that the extraction process already started. You can also always display the logs to see how many rows, for instance, were extracted and what was the status of the extraction. But also, in case you want to see a little bit under the hood what is happening, you can always, display the API call itself to have a better idea what's going on. There are also fairly a lot of nice other features like showing the complete logs. We also added recently a feature for the data quality check, which basically allows you to automatically check for things like null values, zero values, anomalies. And of course, we will keep adding and iterating on top of this particular feature. So right now I have my source set up, and now it's time to basically set up a destination, or Google BigQuery as a destination. As you can see here, I have one Google BigQuery destination already set up. The way how it's done, you can basically set up the Google BigQuery using the standard OAuth process. And this is fairly standardized process when you are being redirected to the Google page, and then you need to allow all the permissions. Or in case you are using a service account in the Google Cloud, you can just upload a certificate in our platform, which can be done here. And then by adding the certificate, you can use it for the authorization. So creating a Google BigQuery destination is as simple as creating the source itself. So you simply click on the create destination, choose the Google BigQuery, and then of course there is the account that to which I have the access. For that purpose, I have also prepared my Google BigQuery environment. So for those who are actually familiar with the way how the Google BigQuery works, you can see it here that I have here a couple of projects defined with a couple of tables already. So here I will just again follow the simple wizard. The system will automatically look for all the projects that are available. As you can see, we have a couple of them here already. And then you basically choose the data set. So I can stick with this one, which is called data writer test. And then simply I can save the destination. Again, it's good. It's always a good practice to label the destination. So right now I have just created my destination for the Google BigQuery. As you can see, it's being listed here. You have, of course, the nice option of always testing the connection, just to make sure that everything is okay. So as you can see, the system basically try to ping the storage, verify the tokens, and now everything is ready for the actual integrations. The actual integrations are happening in the part that is called flows. As I mentioned already, this is, let's say, a loose association between the sources and the destinations, therefore between the extractions and the writing operations. And creating of the source is again a fairly simple. So let's say on the left side, you choose a source. On the right side, you choose a destination. So if I will go here, as you can see here, this is the Google Analytics source that I have just created. And so I will select it into my integrations. Of course, we have the capability of, let's say, adding additional sources to your integration. So for instance, in this case, when we are talking about Google Analytics, I might have a multiple Google Analytics accounts or multiple Google Analytics data sets. So you can just, keep adding them to the integration, and they will be basically automatically added to the process itself. So I am good to go on the left side. On the right side, I will choose the destination that I have just done, which is the Google BigQuery webinar. So I will click on that. The important part, what can be done here is actually to set up a multiple write modes. As you can see here, and I believe this is one of the key points that is good to cover. When you are working with the Google BigQuery, which was originally, let's say, designed as an append-only database, you might be struggling with a fairly regular occurrence of the various data duplicities. So of course, the standard way how to work with the BigQuery is actually insert the data and basically treat it as a data lake. So you are essentially dumping all the data into the data warehouse, and then through the transformation you actually take care of the final setup. But of course, because the BigQuery is fairly successful database, fairly easy to use, it's also, let's say, quite price competitive, especially when it comes to the comparing to the other cloud storages. A lot of people actually starting to using them as in a way of somewhat relational databases. And of course, when it comes to let's say relational databases like SQL Server or MySQL, for instance, they are fairly more powerful, especially when it comes to preventing the data duplicities. For instance, there is in the BigQuery there is not support of the update command yet, and based on the architecture, it will probably never be. But essentially, in order to let's say choose the optimal data write mode policy, it's basically good to, let's say, analyze the way how you want to work with the data. So if you prefer let's say insertion of the data and then doing the transformations later, it's always good to stick with the insert, or what we can call append mode. In case you are somewhat you want to make sure that the data are not duplicated. You want to make sure that if, for instance, you have some existing row in the database, and when during the extraction process, the new row is inserted, and you want this particular row to be updated in the database as well, we strongly suggest to use a upsert mode. Upsert mode basically means that it compares whatever data, whatever rows you have in your database table with the newly arriving data, and the ones that are the same are being updated, and the ones that are actually missing in the original table in the destination are being inserted. Of course, this means that in order to do that, you need to define what we call unique columns, which is essentially an index to watch. So the system will basically say, in case the GA date column is the same, you will perform the update. In case it's different, you will perform the insert query. There are also other two. One is insert ignore, and the second is truncate insert. The insert ignore is basically the one that's just basically swallowing the errors. But the one that's perhaps good to mention is truncate insert, which essentially means that this writing mode will, with every inserting operation, truncate or essentially empty the whole table. So this is useful when, for instance, you are not interested too much in collecting the historical data, and you just want to see the fresh data in your BigQuery table, basically creating a one-to-one replica in your BigQuery table from the target system. So imagine you have for instance, sets of customers in the Salesforce. You don't want to see how the actual records of each customers were developing in a time. You are just interested in the most latest snapshot. So therefore, in this particular case, you will use the truncate insert mode. So for the sake of simplicity, I will use the insert mode. Good thing to or important thing to mention is that you can also before actually let's say finalizing the flow, you can see the data preview where you can at the end actually validate whether this is the right data set that you want. And important part is the scheduling operation itself. So the default setup is when the extraction operation is finished, the writing operation will be immediately triggered. But also from many reasons, you might need to actually set it in a way that you prefer to be run in some specific time. So by let's say setting the sync data to the custom, and setting the sync frequency, and of course setting the precise time, precise period, this how can be achieved. But of course, in most of the cases, it's really recommended just to use the standard setup. So you can basically easily you don't have to care about the actual timing of the operations. So I can set it up the actual mode here, and I will set the database table as a webinar test. Again, I can. This was the example of setting the unique columns for the upsert. If I will go back to the insert, you can always choose whether you want your data to be let's say immediately available after actually triggering the insert operation. For the case of showing the webinar, I will take this off. And of course, at the end, I need to rename my flow. So I can call it webinar test. And right now, everything is ready. So I can click on create flow. And as you can see here, the flow has been created. Basically, the way how Dataddo works when it comes to the data schemas and when it comes to the actual data types, we automatically create the data table for you. So for instance, if I will right now trigger the actual extraction, of course, here you can see when it's scheduled for the extraction, but I can always trigger it manually, which I'm going to do right now. So I will click on confirm. And if I will check the logs here, you would see that the writing job has been enqueued, meaning that it's being set to process. And after let's say after a couple of seconds or a couple of tenths of seconds, it will be processed, and the data will actually become available in the Google BigQuery. What is also good to mention that you can always use a clone settings. So for instance, if you need to set up a multiple flows, you can always clone it. There is of course option to change the status, to change to actually check the connection itself. So by doing that, you can see basically the whole low-level operation, how it looks like. There are also information about the actual table schema. So here you can see how this will be particularly translated into the actual schema. And if I will change the logs here, you would see that the writing operations has been already performed. So if I will right now actually navigate into my Google BigQuery, I believe I have to do a refresh here. So if I do a refresh here and basically go to my table, you can see that this particular table that has been defined during the flow creation process has been automatically created with the given data types. Of course, we strongly recommend you to maintain these data types, because the way how it works internally, we automatically evaluate what is the particular data type, whether it's string, whether it's integer, and then set up the table automatically. But of course, if from any reason you prefer rather an integer to be stored as a big integer, or you are feeling very confident to actually set up the data types by yourselves, you can perfectly do that on your own. And of course, if I would explore the data, you can see that the very data that was actually shown in data preview has been right now transferred into the BigQuery. The important part when it comes to the data integration is, of course, making sure that everything is running smoothly. So our system basically automatically notifies you in case something goes wrong, in case the integration didn't work. So you can set up the email notifications. Also, we have a internal retry mechanism. So let's say in case from whatever reason, whether it's on the extraction side or whether it's on the actual writing side, the job is failing, it goes into the automatic retry queue, which of course give it a couple of tries to make sure that let's say everything is if it's just something temporary broken, this will mostly fix it. If not, it will go into the permanent broken stage. You will be notified, and then of course you need to manually either restart it by doing the manual data insert, or here by setting a change status and changing it from the broken into the live. One thing that I wanted to talk about as well is basically our capability of, let's say, giving you the idea about what is happening inside your accounts. So typically, imagine a situation that you have let's say multiple users that are operating your accounts. You have a multiple sources. You have a multiple destinations. So of course, here we have a complete activity log. So you actually see what has happened. So if you would look at what I was doing previously, you can see that I have actually created two sources. I have created a flow. I have force run a flow. So everything that has happened in the account is actually logged. And of course, there is information about who did it, when he or she did it. So there is a complete transparency to that. You can also from one place manage all the connected services, meaning that as you can see here, this is the particular BigQuery account that I was using. You can always test the extractions. You can always delete it. So in case you somehow wants to revoke the connection, you can just simply do it from here. And of course, in case from whatever reason the account stopped working, you can just click here on the reauthorized, and all the sources, all the flows that are actually associated with this account will be restarted, and the information of the new account will be proliferated into the whole system. Last but not least, this is very much related to our let's say reverse ETL capability. We also support of having a Google BigQuery as a source. So not only as a destination, but you can have a Google BigQuery. You can have a Google BigQuery as a source. So this means that, for instance, if you want to either replicate the data, or if you want to let's say get the data from your Google BigQuery table and send them to CRM destination like HubSpot. Of course, next week or in the next webinar, I will be talking more about our reverse ETL capability. But let's say, for instance, if you are storing your data in the BigQuery and you want to send them somewhere else, whether it's database, whether it's another application, or whether it's a dashboarding platform, you can use the BigQuery as a source. And then, of course, if you imagine a creative flow, you will have it on the left side, and on the right side, you can perhaps use a different database. So if you want to synchronize data between the BigQuery and the Snowflake, or BigQuery and HubSpot, you can use the BigQuery as a destination to do that. So that was a presentation about the Google BigQuery within Dataddo. I would like to ask you if there are any questions. I don't see any of the questions yet. So of course, in case you are perhaps shy to ask at the moment, or you want to ask later, feel free to send me an email. My email address is peter.nemeth@dataddo.com. So you can freely ask me anything about the, of course, Dataddo platform, anything about BigQuery, but of course any other potential integrations, any other system that we are supporting. And of course, I would like to thank you a lot for your time today. I would like to thanks a lot for taking the part. As I mentioned at the beginning, the video recording will be provided. It will be also available in the YouTube. And of course, last but not least, I would like to invite you for the next webinar that will take in roughly 2 weeks, Wednesday, August the 14th. And the topic will be reverse ETL, data activation. So just to continue to what I already touched lightly at the beginning, using BigQuery as a data source and perhaps HubSpot as a destination. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.